Welcome to the video training of LGB 101. Before you get started, please make sure to turn on your sound and print out all materials needed for activities. Students will need the LGB 101 general handout. Facilitators will need the First Impressions handout, the Coming Out Stars handout, and the Common Questions handout. Please have these on hand before beginning the video training. Welcome to LGB 101, the first of 3 presentations in University of Wyoming Safe Zone Training, sponsored by Campus Activities Center. We've created this video as a resource for your organization. If you have any questions, feel free to contact us via email. Training resources are also available on our website. Before you go further with this video, please print or have access to the activities that go along with it. These are the learning outcomes of this presentation. We are not going to discuss them, but please pause the video and read them. They are also available on the website. First, let's lay down some ground rules for the purpose of your group. Remember, feel free to pause the video at any time to facilitate discussion. Rule 1 is ask questions. Even though we're not there, someone can answer questions if you send an email to us at safezone@uwyo.edu. Rule 2 is Vegas rules, which means that what happens during this discussion stays in this room. You can take away the learning that happens with you, but everyone should have the ability to learn and grow without fear of their stories or experiences being shared without their permission. Rule 3 is LOL, which stands for laugh out loud. Something funny might happen, and that's okay. Sometimes people laugh when they're uncomfortable and are processing a situation. It's good to laugh and process. Rule 4 is share the airtime. Everyone should have the opportunity to share a story. Rule 5 is that it's okay to change your mind. You might come across some information that leads you to think about something differently after you have had this discussion, and that's okay. Rule 6 is to challenge by choice. Nobody is required to share their personal stories or participate. Next, let's briefly talk about what Safe Zone is. Safe Zone is a workshop series that aims to provide an open and safe discussion of the LGBTQIA communities. We allow for introspection and thought on various aspects of the LGBTQIA community. Further, we aim to educate individuals on issues related to the LGBTQIA community and work towards enabling participants to create safe environments. LGBTQIA is a lot of letters, so let's go over what they stand for together. L stands for lesbian, G stands for gay, B stands for bisexual, T stands for trans or transgender, both are correct, Q stands for queer or questioning, I stands for intersex, and A stands for asexual or agender. The plus means that there are other communities that are included that we don't explicitly name. In this session, we are focusing on the first half of the acronym, the LGB, typically associated with orientation. Now, let's do the First Impressions activity. This activity asks people to consider their first impressions of LGBTQIA people and from where they got those impressions. People can also consider when they first knew that they had met an LGBTQIA person. People are welcome to share but are not required to. The activity can be found on our website. Now please pause this video to complete the activity and discuss what you have learned. Now, let's go over the definitions of some common terms. It is important to note that these are not the only terms, just common ones, and that different words have different meanings depending on who you're talking to. The first term is orientation. This simply means who a person is attracted to. Sexual orientation specifically means who somebody is sexually attracted to, or who someone wants to have sex with. The next terms deal with specific sexual orientations. Someone who is straight or heterosexual is someone who identifies within the male-female binary and is attracted to somebody else who is within the other half of that male-female binary. It is important to note that transgender people can be straight if they are attracted to people who identify as the opposite binary gender. A gay person is usually a man who is attracted to other men. Gay has also been used as an umbrella term to refer to the entire LGBTQIA community, although it is not accurate. Next, someone who is lesbian usually refers to a woman who is attracted to other women. And last, someone who is bisexual is someone who is attracted to people of both binary genders. However, this identifier can be used by someone who is attracted to people of their own gender and multiple other genders. It depends on how someone self-identifies. If you're not sure what we mean by other genders, we encourage you to take gender identity after this session. A note to add here. The terms used here are typically adjectives or descriptors. A gay man is not a gay. The term lesbian has more usage as a noun than either gay or bisexual, but it is more correct to say a lesbian woman or a lesbian couple over a lesbian or those lesbians. Moving along, the next two terms are terms associated with the LGBTQIA community, but they don't explicitly relate to how someone identifies. The first term is partner, which is a gender-neutral term for the person that somebody is dating or married to. This can be used for a number of reasons, such as somebody not wanting to disclose the gender of the person that they are dating, or if somebody is dating a person who does not identify within the gender binary. This is also a term with less specific gender connotations. While wife implies femininity, husband implies masculinity. For some people within the community, they do use wife and husband, but not everyone, and partner leaves room for ambiguity. The second term is coming out, which describes the process by which a person tells people who they truly are. Because there are no physical markers of being LGBTQIA, the only way to know if somebody is part of the community is if they tell you. Never assume a person is a member of the community based on how they dress or act. Additionally, if you ask someone if they are LGBTQIA and they are not out yet, that can be very frightening. The best thing to do is wait for them to tell you and then support them in whatever way they ask. To illustrate this, it's time for an activity called Coming Out Stars. You can find the directions for the activity on the website. If you would like to do this activity, you can pause the video and read the instructions aloud to your group. Afterwards, talk about how this made you feel and any insights that you had during the activity. We recommend skipping this activity if you do not have a person who can lead a discussion session afterwards, since this is a much more emotionally vulnerable activity. Please pause the video now if you would like to complete the activity and discuss what you have learned from it. Now that we have discussed some terms, activities, and impressions of LGBTQIA people, here are a few myths about the LGBTQIA community that we're going to bust. These myths come from the Southern Poverty Law Center and Vancouver Island University Safe Alliance. Myth number 1. Gay men are more likely to be pedophiles. According to the American Psychological Association, children are no more likely to be molested by LGBTQIA parents or their LGBTQIA friends or acquaintances. Further, the Child Molestation Research and Prevention Institute notes that 90% of child molesters target children in their network of family and friends, and the majority are men married to women. Myth number 2. Children of same-sex marriages will have more problems. The American Academy of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry states that current research shows that children with gay and lesbian parents do not differ from children with heterosexual parents in their emotional development or in their relationships with peers and adults, and they are not more likely than children of heterosexual parents to develop emotional or behavioral problems. Myth number 3. People become LGBTQIA because of childhood sexual abuse. The American Psychiatric Association noted in 2000 that sexual abuse does not appear to be any more prevalent among children who grow up and identify as gay, lesbian, or bisexual than in children who grow up and identify as heterosexual. Myth number 4. Openly LGBTQIA military personnel will damage the armed forces. The armed forces have always had LGBTQIA personnel, though Don't Ask, Don't Tell made it more difficult to calculate what percentage. Today, estimates hover between 2 and 6%. One reason for high numbers of enlistment is that the military can provide an opportunity to escape a homophobic or transphobic community. Regardless, LGBTQIA people within the service are just as qualified to serve their country as heterosexual people. Myth number 5. LGBTQIA people are more prone to be mentally ill and to abuse drugs and alcohol. All major professional health organizations are on record as confirming that homosexuality is not a mental disorder. The American Psychological Association has clearly stated in the past that homosexuality is neither a mental illness nor mental depravity. Study after study documents the mental health of gay men and lesbians. Studies of judgment, stability, reliability, and social and vocational adaptiveness all show that gay men and lesbians function every bit as well as heterosexuals. While there are higher rates of mental illness and substance abuse in the LGBTQIA community, Southern Poverty Law Center states that it is due to the historical, social stigmatization of homosexuality and violence directed at LGBTQIA people, not because of homosexuality itself. Studies done during the past several years have determined that it is the result of being a member of a minority group in an often hostile society, and not LGBTQIA identity, that accounts for higher levels of mental illness and substance use. Myth number 6, no one is born LGBTQIA. Modern science cannot state conclusively what causes sexual orientation, but a great many studies suggest that it is the result of both biological and environmental forces, and not a personal choice. The American Academy of Pediatrics states that homosexuality has existed in most societies for as long as recorded descriptions of sexual beliefs and practices have been available. Myth number 7. People can choose to leave homosexuality. Reparative or conversion therapy, the pseudo-scientific foundation of ex-gay movements, has been rejected by all the established and reputable American medical, psychological, psychiatric, and professional counseling organizations. The American Medical Association officially opposes reparative therapy that is based on the assumption that homosexuality per se is a mental disorder, or based on an a priori assumption that the person should change his or her homosexual orientation. Myth number 8. LGBTQIA people can be identified by certain mannerisms, clothing, or characteristics. You cannot spot a gay or lesbian person by the way they walk, talk, dress, or act. Some LGBTQIA people can be identified by more stereotypical mannerisms and characteristics, but many heterosexuals also display those same mannerisms and characteristics. Tomboys. Some LGBTQIA people choose to make a political statement through their appearance, but not all, and a rainbow pin or jacket can just as easily be worn by an ally. Myth number 9. LGBTQIA people can be cured by having great sex with the right man or woman. There are no cures for same-sex attraction because there is nothing wrong to begin with. Lots of LGBT people have had heterosexual relationships or experiences, but they are confident in their orientation regardless of their heterosexual experience. Further, this invalidates bisexual people. For example, a bisexual woman in a relationship with a man is still bisexual. She does not become straight when she enters that relationship. Myth number 10. Since June 2015, LGBTQIA people have had the same rights as all Americans. LGBTQIA folks are making strides in the United States, and things are getting better. However, same-sex marriage is just one step of many towards full equal rights in the United States. To illustrate why busting these myths matter, let's look at some state policy. There are no provisions within the state of Wyoming that protect a person from discrimination on the basis of orientation or gender identity. It is perfectly legal to be fired from your job, lose your apartment, or be turned away from a place of business based on your sexual orientation or gender identity. The city of Laramie is the only exception. Laramie has a non-discrimination ordinance. 4 other cities have non-binding non-discrimination resolutions. There are no negative laws that make it harder to be an LGBTQIA student, such as K-12 Don't Ask, Don't Tell, but there are also no protections for LGBTQIA students either. Sexual education is not mandatory at the state level. That decision is administered by each county. There is also no state hate crimes law. Wyoming uses the federal standard. Further, there is no ban on conversion or reparation therapy in the state of Wyoming. Looking at these laws, it's pretty obvious that things are not equal for people within the LGBTQIA community. So let's talk about what you can do to apply what we've discussed today. Here are some tips for things you can do and say when someone comes out to you. These are just suggestions, not hard and fast rules. What you will do will depend on your relationship to the person coming out to you. Some things you can do are listen to their story. One of the most important things you can do for a person is to let them know they are being heard. Consider their feelings and not your own. This is their coming out process, and they are allowed to have whatever feelings about it that they do. Your feelings are important, but this could be a crucial time to show someone your support of them by lifting up their feelings over your own. Also, consider their fears. Coming out is really scary. Remember the Coming Out Stars activity? That might be why they haven't told you yet. They're afraid of repercussions. Let them know how important they are to you. They are the same person that they were before. Make sure they understand that you know that. Very important, ask who else knows. You don't want to accidentally tell people who don't know, because this person should be able to tell people on their own. Don't out someone without their consent. Make sure to keep the conversation as confidential as possible, unless they say something otherwise. And lastly, share resources and knowledge if it's appropriate. One thing that is really easy to do is that you can ask a person how you can best help them and what they're expecting from you. Do they want someone to vent to? Do they want someone to go with them to the bathroom? Are they looking for someone to celebrate with? Lastly, there are 3 things you shouldn't do. Do not tell them you already knew. This is a very scary prospect for someone. If you know, who else does? Don't share their story with anyone else. Talking about people behind their backs is rude. And if they say that you can tell people, that's different. If they do not say that explicitly, don't tell other people. And lastly, do not try to help. They've already made the decision to come out. They'll tell you what they need from you. And if they're coming out, they probably know what they need in terms of assistance. They will ask you or someone else for that support. So back to the big picture, what we all can do. Let's talk about some things we can do to make our communities more inclusive of LGBTQIA people. Number 1, most important, continue to educate ourselves and others. There are thousands of resources that can help you better understand people's experiences that are different than your own. This is a really simple way to help yourself be more inclusive. Next, use inclusive language. That means using gender-neutral terms like partner, using they pronouns for someone you don't know. You don't know what pronouns someone uses unless they tell you. This also means referring to groups as terms that aren't gendered. Instead of ladies and gentlemen, use terms like folks or friends. Or my personal favorite, y'all. Next, refuse to tolerate isms and phobias. This means not letting things that are offensive, even things like jokes, go unaddressed in your presence. A simple statement of, that wasn't cool, or that's not funny, can make a huge difference. Also, be willing to discuss sexual orientation and gender identity issues. If someone has a concern, you should try to make yourself available to talk to them about what they're having trouble with. If you aren't, have an idea of where they can get the assistance they need. And lastly, don't assume someone's sexuality or gender. You can't know someone's sexuality or gender if they don't tell you, and if it's really important for you to know, the best thing to do is to ask politely. Finally, let's close with some resources in the state of Wyoming and in the United States as a whole. First, the Trevor Project is a network designed to help at-risk or questioning LGBTQIA youth. They have a phone line that operates 24/7, but they also have texting and web chat options on their website if phones are not your thing. Next, Wyoming Equality is the largest LGBTQIA advocacy entity in the state of Wyoming. They organize events, do writing campaigns, and provide resources for anyone looking for information on LGBTQ events and actions in the state. Next, ACLU of Wyoming is the state's particular branch of the American Civil Liberties Union. They work to protect people from discrimination and abuse and uphold civil rights. Finally, let's close with 2 resources at the University of Wyoming that do LGBTQIA advocacy. The first is the Rainbow Resource Center. It operates as a safe space for LGBTQIA students to be in during the semester and has computers, a library, and a gender-neutral bathroom down the hall. Spectrum is the LGBTQIA-friendly student organization at University of Wyoming. They organize events, work with Safe Zone and Rainbow Resource Center on projects, and provide a network for LGBTQIA students and allies. Thanks for watching LGB 101, the first of 3 sessions in University of Wyoming Safe Zone program. If you have any questions, please email safezone@uwyo.edu.